All right, welcome back everybody to another episode of Now Teslafy FSD Beta version 11.4.3. I'm so stoked I finally got this version, and it seemed to roll out pretty quickly. So, yeah, happy to get started with this. I've heard, again, some mixed reviews or what have you on 11.4.3, but we shall see. But first, before I get started, I want to thank everybody. I finally crossed 500 subscribers. I'm super excited about that, and I want to thank all of you subscribers. You're all wonderful people. Please feel free to comment, like, and share. I really appreciate it, and hoping to bring even more as we go. Specifically for this round, I am shouting out Brad C, Frank F, Dave M, Rajan S, Hatarino, Billy C, Imran S, and Abdullah K. Again, if you subscribe, I like to shout you out in my FSD episodes. Today we are going on a slightly different route because the spot where I normally start the loop is under construction and is rough road, etc. But this is actually a fairly decent comparable start in a few initial turns more than what we usually get. And the left turn I usually start off, the unprotected left coming up, is still a good spot to test that out as well, and just down the road. So some things that I'm looking forward to, and actually that stop sign right there, I just thought about this, has always been a really hard stop on 11.4.2, and that was better for sure. So that's I hope that continues to be an improvement. For me, I've gotten those really stopping short before the light, or excuse me, before the stop sign. All right, so we're clear to go here. All right, good left turn. Veered just a little bit left, you probably saw that, but not terribly uncomfortable. I actually have driven this route this will be my third time today, actually the third time within the last like 5 hours I've gone this route, because I've had to go down to the market a few times for business, etc. I'm a part of the North Central Washington Tech Alliance. I'm on the board member there, so I'm a board member there, so planning for upcoming activities. All right. And kind of speaking of the route, again, since I've driven it a handful of times today already, I know kind of some spots I'll be looking for that were really iffy. And it's all fresh in my brain, so we'll be able to have a good, fresh comparison in my brain. I actually had another test loop recorded for you all and was starting to edit it last night. Was planning to get it done today, but I'm probably gonna bag it now since we got 11.4.3. And Elon just today also said that 11.4.4 was gonna come out this weekend. So we're seeing some really quick iteration and hopefully improvements right to FSD, and especially probably thanks to a lot of the brand new testers that we've gotten. So this is an interesting scenario that it's going to be temporary. We have a stoplight going in here. This four-way stop has been notoriously terrible since I got V11. Okay, that's actually good. No turn signal there. Usually turn signals to get into this middle lane. So there's a stop sign. Sometimes confused by the lights. We're creeping forward for visibility. I'm going to go ahead and just intervene because we've got traffic on our right and I didn't want to wait for it to go to the creep line, which is what it normally does. So there is an intervention. You know, that one is tough for me because almost every single time I intervene, because that four-way stop, which is going away, you saw the stoplights there, it's going away, but it just will not do that one. It stops wants to go to a creep line, which confuses other people because you're rolling forward and they think you're going to go because they think it's your turn, and either whether it's your turn or not, they think you're going to go. There was no different release notes for 11.4.3 than there was for 11.4.2. So there's undocumented improvements, is basically how I read those sorts of updates. We get a handful of those. Most of the time they come with release notes that are specific to the version, but this was another one where I'm guessing maybe there just wasn't anything significant. I'm not entirely sure why they would do that. Alright, so we're going to get we're going to get a give me on this yield here. This was an issue I had on occasion on and off, yielding to that traffic coming from the traffic circle on the left to get on the bridge, but we didn't have any traffic to yield to. Super windy coming over this bridge, seeing some debris, and even the car just maybe slightly, I could feel it, but Beta handled it well. Actually, that was part of my drive last night that I recorded, that I was editing. It was super windy yesterday, and the car was doing, I mean, not that it's a car, right? How much is it really going to blow out? But it still, has to sort of mitigate it, right? And it did it like a champ, so. Clearly, wind isn't going to affect it too much. But, you can feel it. Everybody's driven in high wind before, or most people have, and you kind of feel how that can affect your car. And it's been, super windy. Alright, so we're making our right turn here, and hey, Waves of Life earlier today just kind of asked me about, or asked people on Twitter, I was mentioned in it, about right turns, and mine does just that little jog to the right that sometimes is a parking lane, and before it makes its turn, and even if it's maybe just like a bike lane or something, it does kind of move into that a bit. All right, so we've got a left here and then a quick right. And then this stop sign up here earlier today also was an issue where it just was so timid. Like, what are you even doing? So earlier today, it would stop, and then we just have the hardest time taking the turn. So we come to a stop. We've got to wait for this traffic. This guy is turning, so that's good. Okay. And it takes its left. Okay, so that was good. That was better than the other couple of times they came down today, for sure. So it looks like we saw some improvement there. I like it. And we're coming up to the market here on the right. Again, my previous test loop, I would always be coming down across the train tracks, but this is a little bit more of a challenging route to get here. And is still perfectly valid. So it looks like, see, we're doing the jog to the right again. So no need to do that. But also no real reason to intervene, I suppose. And so we are going to make it to the market without issue. We had just, again, a single intervention, but we, at that stop sign, and, I hesitate to even necessarily count that, but hey, I got to count it. It should stop and roll through that. But all right, so let's put in our return trip and we will see how it goes the other way. So 4-way here, pretty straightforward again, with only one other opposing car going the same way. That's how it should be every time. Actually, is this technically an unprotected left? It's a traffic light left. I don't know. what is it called, you guys? Just a left turn at a light? Because we're obviously not trying to make a turn into traffic like a traditional left turn, but we still have to, you know, wait our turn for here, so. And it's not protected because we don't have a green arrow. We can go, we can go, we can go. Okay. Good. And you know what? The other great thing is it turned into this middle lane instead of the right lane, which is a left turn only. So maybe technically you're supposed to turn into that left lane and then make a lane change, but in this case, because it's the same block, I think it's fine. All right, and I've had some other folks ask me on Twitter, you know, what profile am I usually using? And I'm technically always in the assertive profile, so we can kind of see there. I think if it was in chill, we might have waited actually behind that bus before we moved over into and why are we slowing? So slow down here. In this street, for some reason, just consistent slowdowns in this area. Like this basically half a block that we've seen. And whether it's really, you know, unnoticeable, like from 31 to 30, or even less than that, there's always a little bit of a slowdown when we should just be maintaining speed throughout. I'm not sure why that would even be. All right, so this is what I like to call lane change shenanigan alley. So in all previous versions, in this area, Beta would have a hard time deciding whether it wants to be in the left or right lane. We're actually in the lane that gets us to our destination the entire way. Like if we just stayed in this particular lane right to the end of our destination, it's perfect. But see, now we want to, it's motioning like it wants to get in the left-hand lane. So far it hasn't. Now it looks like it wants to. And now it's going to change its mind again. Now it wants to. All right, so you can see perfect example of lane change shenanigans, bonkers. And that was actually a great bonkers version of that happening. That will be being sent over to the beta team for sure. It's just ridiculous. Actually, the funny thing is I did this exact same route, or this route last night, and it did it perfectly. So, all right. And actually that was really good too. We had a pedestrian that stepped out into the road and was gonna cross after we moved. He knew that if we maintained our speed, we'd be fine. He'd cross after us, I guess. But Beta didn't react. And I think was appropriate in that situation because a pedestrian was counting on us maintaining our speed. So that was very good. And we were in the proper lane for this turn. Again, it didn't try and make its way over into this left lane, which sometimes it does. And here's another example. Again, we do not need to be in this lane. That middle lane is the appropriate lane. But hey, maybe in this case, since we've got the bus, and I'm in an assertive profile, perhaps that it's thinking this is going to be the quicker lane. I didn't actually get to see if there was a message about that or not. Regardless, this will still work out, and I've mentioned in almost all my other videos, while it's not my preferred method to do it, it still makes its lane change safely. And, you know, I've never had an issue with it trying to move over into this lane, even though it's on a curve. Interesting. I wonder if it was for some debris or something like that. I'm not sure why that beeping happened, but hey, we did fine. And again, change lanes on a curve. I'm not stoked about that, but it does it safely. So, and maybe a little bit early, but it still did it. So, not my preferred, but it handled it. So, and again, so far, disengagement-free drive, and I've just had one intervention, which is unfortunate for this light that we're about to come up to now, which is currently a four-way stop, but is going to be traffic control here in a minute. Like, I think this week they should be done with it. Okay, so a good full NHTSA stop there before we took our right turn. And now it usually does not have any troubles with this same four-way stop, but coming from this direction. So we'll see, stopping for stop sign, and we proceed through. So, very good. And again, it's just coming back this direction. Whoa, a slow down there. Not sure why we slowed. Luckily, I didn't have anybody behind me or next to me. And I think since the rest of my loop is technically just a very simple left at a light, controlled left turn, and then a right, I think I'm going to skip that this time. We'll probably speed up a bit, and I'm going to go through the roundabouts as a test because that's been my big pet peeve recently. So going outside my test loop a little bit, and hey, it's not going to be actually a loop today. How about that? But you're going to get to see some roundabouts. So I think that is what we're going to do, and we'll put that in. All right, so we got our route in here. Again, unfortunately, this is super straight until we get to the mini roundabout and then the big roundabout. And we'll come back and do it again. Okay, so I'm going to intervene. Unfortunate. I don't know. Again, that four-way stop is also generally an issue. I have no explanation for it. I mean, we even had the creep fence, but we didn't even move forward. So there's an intervention there. Again, both the interventions so far were having to do with four-way stops. So strange, because I feel like in version 10, we almost had like, it was rarely an issue. Unless there was, just too much going on, but I really feel like it started with the whole NHTSA stop being required, and then it creeps. That's it feels like on version 11, it's what became a simple thing is now a huge challenge. And then just beyond this intersection, we're going to have our mini roundabout. It did it once when I've tested this recently. Didn't have it. Actually, I was filming, but you're not going to get to see that. And it usually it has ignored the median in the middle. Like it wants to drive through it. So here we're yielding appropriately. Good. A little bit slow, but hey, you know what? I'll take that. Oh, look, we did get through. It knew the median right away. So that was very good. It did stop fairly abruptly for that car. I think that was okay, though. Obviously better than not stopping at all. But that was good, and it avoided the little mini median in the middle. So also very good. So far, that little issue that had kind of crept in again, I feel like in version 11 has been more of an issue than previous as well. All right, so going through our larger roundabout, there's nobody here, no reason to stop. Let's roll through, and we are rolling through, so that's good. All right, so we will head back through those two roundabouts again, see if we get repeat success. Not a lot of traffic in the roundabout for it to contend with, so I think we're going to do fine here. Yeah, no problem at all there. So then we just have the mini roundabout ahead. Again, we're not going to really be challenged in this one, so it's just simply avoid the median, and we're slowly going through. So that was a little bit awkward, but it made it. I didn't even have to intervene. I think if I wasn't testing, letting it do its thing, I would probably have maybe given a little bit of acceleration, if I'm honest. Oh my gosh. Anybody else have that problem? I'm always spinning this thing. It's like sometimes it wants to expand and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I've seen too where maybe at the top is a bit better than in the middle. I always want to grab the little handle, right? Because UI, UX, we see this as a little handle. This is signaling to somebody that that's where you tap, and doesn't seem to get the spins quite a bit. I think it's so funny you can do that. Alright, coming to four-way stop again, the other direction. How will we do this time? We just have the one car, and we should go. Should go, and I'm just gonna go. Again, it's that creep fence, right? Like, it creeps up, it's clear there's nothing else to look at, but it wants to go to the creep fence before it commits. And it doesn't do that every time. I don't understand. So, and it's so stupid that the Achilles heel at this point on my drives is a stupid four-way stop. We finished the roundabouts. I'll have to test that again. In fact, I'll probably do a dedicated video to just going through those roundabouts a couple of times. But it appears to have been resolved. And then it's the four-way stop that is holding it back from a completely intervention-free drive. Little ridiculous. But that said, I still 11.4.3 11.4.2 even really is just I've been so happy with it. I really have. Even those little things, like, it's so far above and beyond what I had experienced previous. Even at the beginning of V11, it still had plenty of troubles. But now it's just it works. It works. I mean, I'm trying to can't even find the words to do her justice, right? I'm just stammering here. It is so good. I'm so happy with it. It's like what I had hoped FSD would be when I bought a Tesla, was at this level. And it hasn't been, obviously. But we're close. We're so close. And, you know, I don't know. Will it be fully ready to go in 6 months, as Elon said, end of year? I don't know, but for me, whoa, there's a car door open there. All right, we avoided it. That was fine. So we came to the end of our loop here. So there was a good interaction at the end. I didn't have to intervene. Beta did just fine, kind of moving, not like, you know, it could have jerked out of the way, but it didn't. It kind of slowly, there was enough room for them, and he got out of his car, so good last interaction there. But again, overall, I love this version. It's the best version yet. There's no better version of any version. It's absolutely perfect. It's a perfect version. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you next time. Now Teslafy.